Okay, now in this tutorial we will unwrap our ramp and this will be the final result. But first, let's look at the breakout. What I've done is I've given you a preview of the different breakouts so you know how to unwrap the model and to place the UV islands. So that's the breakout that we have different views. Okay, and this one I actually did custom bottom, back, and left views. So we'll be using this in conjunction with so we're going to load this in the UV editor so you know where to place the actual layout or the islands, and you'll be able to make sure that once you do that, when we load in the map in Blender, everything should work. So once we load in if I go to the so I guess the next thing to do is to open up the file that you have from the previous modeling tutorials, and it should be this one. Build reference, where we at? Build, yeah, okay, so final modeling. So that's the text. That should be, your model should be very similar to this, okay? Also, a few other tips that I'd like to give you. I'm just going to add a few other objects in here just so we can have some I'm gonna add a cube, move it over. You don't have to do this. This is just a few modeling tips or selection tips that I want to give you that I didn't do in the last video. So as you know, you can select objects, and the reason I'm doing this now is you can also use these same selection methods within the UV editor, which we'll be using pretty soon. So you can right click on these to select them, but there's also I mentioned in the other video there were some other selection methods, and I guess it's helpful to know these other selection methods. So the other selection modes, I guess, is B obviously is what I used before, box, and then right click or left drag, and that will select objects. Okay, but there's also obviously A, select and deselect all. There's also the control. If you hold down control and left draw or left drag, you can use that to select objects. You cannot use this to unselect objects. So if I want to just select this box, hold down the control key and left drag, and I can select just the box. There's also the circle selection, which is useful for kind of painting selections. I'm going to deselect all, and that's just holding down the C key. And with your middle mouse button, you can scroll in or scroll out. So you can easily drag with the left mouse button and select different objects. That's going to be really useful at in editing mode. Let me just select this and go in editing mode and deselect all, and let's go to, and let's say I just want to select these two, these three vertex, so I can hit C and I can just select these three very quickly. Okay, and then there's also Control E, which will invert. Oh, by the way, if you use this circle selection, you're kind of stuck in this mode until you get out of this mode. So you need to actually right click to get out of that circle selection mode. Otherwise you'll be stuck in it and you can't do anything else. And then if you can hit control I should say, that inverts your current selection. And that works at sub-object mode, or edit mode as they call it, object mode, and also it's going to work in the editor. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. So also, well, okay, let me just delete this cube. X, delete, delete. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a demonstration. Once again, you didn't have to do that. If you did, you just go ahead and delete those objects. Next thing we want to do is we want to set up our scene. I need to turn on my screencast keys, which of course you're not going to need to do that. By the way, you won't even see your screencast keys. You have to actually install the script by hand. But anyway, also when doing materials later on, you're going to notice that part of your object may be completely black because this current light, the current lamp here, is not the right type of light to light the whole scene. And what we need to do is we need to change this lamp type. Once I find out where that's at, if I can remember where it's at, change this lamp type. Hold on. Yeah, so we need to change this lamp type to the correct type. Instead of it being a point light, which is the default, change it to hemisphere. And that's going to give you, well, you don't see much change now, but that's going to give you some lighting on the back side of your objects, which will help you when you do the texture. So that's very helpful to do that. Change that to hemisphere, and I think we're about ready to go. So first thing we need to do is, well, let's change our default layout to UV layout from up here, UV editing layout. And I think to save space for now, let's hide my tools here, or my properties, and let's bring this over. Also, did I change? No, I need to change some preferences, so I'm rotating on my, oh yeah, actually I am. So once again, I'm rotating on my currently selected object. And if you didn't change those preferences, or if you're starting this fresh, just go to user preferences and make sure you click on rotate around selection. Okay, that's going to help greatly. So let's make some space here. And now, so the first thing we need to do is we need to cut some edges on this. And I guess, for this, I don't really need to have my UV editing open until I get those edges cut. So I'm just going to go back to the default, and then I'm just going to close, make some space here. I don't necessarily need all these open, but I'll leave that open anyway. I'll just go to tools. So what we need to do is select edges, go to edit mode here. Once again, it's tab, in case you didn't know. Sorry, that's T. That's tab. Sorry, that's tab. I'm hitting the wrong keys. So now we need to start selecting edges and break this up. This is why I've given you the, and let's do the front first, because that's the easiest section. And let's just look at my breakout here. Preview. Basically the front is this whole section here. Actually, it's the back, sorry. So it would be the next one. This is showing this front area. I think you can see it also here. That's where that's gonna go, okay? So, yeah, those two are kind of reversed, sorry about that. But you get the general idea. So that's gonna be pretty easy to make make seams for that. So, and let's hope I don't mess this up. So I'm gonna just select just this edge here first. Hold on, I'm gonna go to, I am in edit mode. I do have that selected. What's going on? Hit A. Okay. Oh, sorry. No, it's not in edge mode. So let's right click here, go to edge mode, and let's right click here. And then I'm going to hit numlocks, numpad period, I guess. And I'm just going to start selecting with shift these other areas. So once I select these edges, can then tell it to make these into seams. Now there is a way of doing this without making your custom seams, smart UV layout, but since we already have our layout and it's not so hard to do, I'm not going to use the smart UV layout. I'm going to do custom seams. So that looks about right. Let's just double check that. That looks about correct. Yep, that's it. So that's going to be one set. Now to mark seams, you can go here to mesh, and there's probably a quick key for this, but I try to minimize my quick keys because sometimes I get them confused and I do things and I screw things up. And for beginners, mark seams. Okay, so we're going to mark seams. Notice how those turn nice and orange, letting you know those are now seams. If you want to clear seams at any time, you make a mistake, same place, go here, edges, and then it's clear seam. Yeah. So the next one we're going to do is I'm going to do the bottom, because that's pretty straightforward too. And I believe the bottom starts from here and just goes all the way around here. I included the bevel in the bottom to help it unwrap without distortion on the sides of the ramp. There's a little bit of distortion on the bottom. Otherwise I have to split all these, whoops. I'd have to split all these, that's wrong. Make sure, oops, let me just, oh boy, making mistakes, so let's start over. I'll just start it from this side. This time I hit Control instead of Shift. Shift, 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 Shift. Yeah, anyway, if you don't do this, I have to end up splitting all these extra edges. And I get some overlap and causes some more problems. So it's easier for me, I think, to just actually, sorry about that, select these here, and I can probably just reselect these, doesn't really matter, not that I know of. And this is going to be here. Let's make sure I did that. Yep, same thing on that side. Once again, if you're going to make your own UV texture and you're not going to use my layout, then you can unwrap it in any way or pattern that makes sense for you. But this way, all the textures that I've made will match this. You see how that doesn't let me zoom into where I want? So if I just hit numpad period, I can get some better zooming. I thought I could anyway. Yeah, I can. There we go. So with the bottom selected, pretty sure that's it. But we can check that against our ramp. Now, when you're doing this yourself, you're obviously not going to have, yeah, that's about right. This template to watch, to go against. But in this case, for beginners, it's always good to have a plan. You know, when I did this myself, I unwrapped it once, checked it, realized that I didn't like how it was laid out, and went back and remapped the sides here to not include the bottom, and made some seams here, split some seams so it would unwrap correctly, and we're going to do that anyway. So that's this. That's the bottom. So I want to mark those, and once again, if you know the hotkey, feel free to do it. But for me, edges, mark seams. So we get seams there. Now the next easy one will be, I believe, this ramp area is going to be, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do the insider ramp because that's pretty straightforward. Let me see. Yeah, it's going to wrap all the way around this corner here. That's easy. And it stops. And it stops at the top here. And it does not have any, just go straight up. So that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so we're going to do that next. So it starts here. Holding down Shift. Let's hit numlock so we can easily rotate this around without any problems of weirdness happening. Go down Shift and go here. Probably don't have to redo those edges here, but I always like to be okay. That's going to be their actual dry section of the ramp. Mark those seams. Mesh edges. Mark seams. And let's see. Now we just need to do, well, not just, but now we're going to do the sides. And sides begin from here, I believe. Yeah, let's double check that. Yeah, they basically begin from this edge here. Okay, you can see how they go along this edge. Yeah. Uh-oh. I think we might have some differences. Oh no, outside edge. Let's see. Yeah, no problem. So we go here. We want to include this bevel here. I want to include that one. That's wrong. I hit the wrong one. I want to deselect that and get the right one. Yeah, we want to make sure we get the right bevel in there. Now, because that's actually a long triangle in there, so make sure you get the one that's on the actual edge here, not this one that's going at an angle. And here, now I know from before I need to also select these little pieces there, because that's going to be split. So we can also take this and make sure this lays flat. So I'm going to split these little corners here. Once again, don't know if I'm going to split these. I'm going to go down here and grab this again. Once again, this may be unnecessary, but oops, that's wrong. I'm gonna split here. No, actually, that doesn't make sense. I think I made a mistake. Oh, let me continue from the top and see what happens with that. Go down here. We don't need that one. Go here. Uh-oh. It doesn't make sense. Splitting it here. We're not including that on the bottom. So what happens at this corner? Let's double check that. Because it comes down and then it goes back up. Well, that little bit won't be. Goes like this and then splits here. So yeah, goes along this edge and then comes here and splits down. Yeah, that's it. And for this, I think it's probably a good idea to split this right here and split it up here at the corner. We want those to kind of unfold. So we have this whole line going around, coming up here, traveling down to the front of the ramp, coming down, going down this little area here, splitting this corner, traveling up along this edge, splitting this bevel here, splitting the bevel here, and wrapping back around. And we're going to go ahead and mark those seams. And now we're going to continue on the other side. It's going to be, oops, going to be here. Now I might want to hit A to deselect all my current edges. That's clean things up and start over. So that's going to be a seam. It's going to be a seam. I'm going to hit numpad period so I can zoom in here. That's going to be a seam. That's going to be a seam. Once again, using my middle mouse button just by itself to zoom in and hold down and shift to pan, and then middle mouse button hold down to rotate. Going to be a seam here, a seam here. Once again, using shift to continue to select these. That's going to be a seam. That's going to be a seam. That's going to be a seam. And then we're going to travel back up like this. Then we're going to have this seam here. Now, if you don't do these little, actually, I think we're going to actually cut this here too. If you don't make seams on these little edges, it won't. It will give you some slight distortion when you unwrap it. So that looks about right. Now, if you have a triangle in here, or you don't have this edge here, that's not going to matter so much. Really, we're more concerned about having triangles or quads and the outside layout of this. The inside, you know, it depends on slightly the order that you extruded these, and also if they're at a particular angle and how you got rid of those edges. So some of these cross sections in here might be slightly different, but that should not cause a major problem. Okay, so I got that done, and let's see. And now we're going to mark those seams. Now the next thing is making sure I have these inside here. And I think those are just going to go around here. Mark those seams. And let's see. Okay. Yeah, they just go around here. They actually go wrap all the way down to the bottom and just travel across there, right along the top there, and stop right at this area here. So, and then these are going to have to be split as well. So this gets a little bit tricky. So that looks about right. Okay, it goes down here. This has a seam here. Now I don't think I need to redo those seams, but I do know I need to actually let's see what happens. I'm gonna select this seam here. Now this gets a little bit, okay, actually I'm hit A to select all my seams. And then I'm gonna, it wraps around here. I think I don't have to redo these. Now I'm gonna just try to split these seams like this, because I know they need to, right? Let me see. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, these, I believe these need to be split. You know what? I think what I'm gonna do, before I continue, and just do a save as, and I'm just going to save this in case I make a mistake here with these seams. And this is going to be called 06 UV unwrap 01. Oh gosh, cap locks were on. UV unwrap 01. Okay. And then I'm going to shift select these seams here. I'm going to take a look at my layout real quick. Oh yeah, we're looking up here. Oh, actually, you know what? I didn't split those, but I definitely split these first ones coming up. I definitely split those, but I didn't split the top ones. And I split the corners. It makes sense. So let's go back and make sure. Once again, these don't even really have anything but an orange texture, so they're not that important. I definitely split this bit here. That makes sense. That needs to be split. That needs to be split. So I just, got rid of my selection here, although I probably shouldn't have. And I did split these. Hold down Shift and select, split those. That's gonna let that unwrap. Fine. And these I split. Definitely need to split this corner up here. So that's going to unwrap nicely. And I think that should do it. And okay, mark those seams. So I have my seams marked. hit A a couple times, or at least once. I can see where my seams are at. I can double check them. If I need to clear some seams, you just select them, and you do the same thing, mesh, and clear seams. Edges, clear seams. But in this case, I didn't need to really clear any seams. I think I did a pretty good job. Okay. With my seams defined, now let's go to my UV layout here, UV editing layout, and I need to go to edit mode and select everything with H, and then you can either go to your, well, I forget where it's at now, but guess what? I think it's under shading, unwrap UV, or you can just hit U, and we're just going to do a standard unwrap. And look at that. That looks about correct. Now, of course, we're going to have to do some cleanup here. And let me think. It looks, oops. Okay, if you do that, same thing happens. If you want to see your currently selected object, you can use the same keys as before, and that's going to be the numlots period. Okay, so let's see. That looks about good. And I'm going to have to rearrange these, obviously. This is slightly different up here, but it's actually probably a better layout. Probably has less stretching. Yeah, this is slightly different than before, than what I did before. I missed something here, I think, or did I? No, I got that perfect. But that's actually going to be give me less stretching than I got before. Now, if you want to check if you have any stretching, of course, you can go here, and we need to make a new map to load in here, and this is just gonna be a blank. I think I'm gonna make a color grid, or do I want to make a UV grid? I'm gonna make a color grid, and or keep this default size, I believe, and say okay. And now, in order to see that, we had to make some changes here. I think we can just go to texture. Nope. I think we're gonna have to go here and change this map type. So get my tools back. Nope. It's gonna be in, and we can go here. I always forget where this is at. Display. Nope. Shading. GSL texture. Okay, yeah, now remember. You do need to have multi-texture here, so if you close that by any reason, it's the in panel. We go to multi-texture, and we click on shaderless, and now we're show up here. Now we can quickly understand where we need to arrange our maps, and if we have any problems. Now, for instance, this is going to be upside down, so we're going to flip that. But you know what? To make some room first, is we're going to just go here and select, go to island or UV island select mode. Select this UV island, and well, you know what? In order to go to UV island mode, let's yeah, here we go. I have it hidden. So let's get rid of this properties panel over here, and let's get rid of this panel here. We don't need this anymore. So that's going to be T, and yeah, now we have more room. Okay. Yeah, that's probably good for now. And so on the bottom here, let's go to select island. I know for sure this is so small, inconsistent. It's not really needed. So it doesn't need to take up all that space. So I'm just going to hit the scale this down, and just scale it down proportionally. And I can rearrange that later, and then hit G to just move that. All right, now I have my snaps on, so it's snapping. And for this, I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to turn my snaps off. And now I can snap or move this without snapping. That's going to be placed later on. Let's take a look at this island. Remember, I have select UV selection mode to island, and this I'm going to quickly just, and for this, let's turn it, hold down Control to turn, well actually no, hit R and then Control it, and then we should be able to, you know what, this is R, yeah, okay. And if you have Control, it kind of makes it hard to rotate. So let's get this rotate to where we think it's 90 degrees or 180 degrees, and then hit Control, and then we can make sure we get it 180 degrees. So you need to rotate it first before you hit the Control, and then you just left click to select it. I mean to put that in the motion. Now we know this is upside down, so which one is that? And hit G just to move it around. Yeah, that's the right one. That one's upside down. So we need to rotate this. So it's going to be R. Move it a little bit, then hit Control, and that's going to give us the right direction for that. And now these, I remember I put them pretty much straight along the bottom. This one I made straight along the bottom, and one of these I made it an angle. Now if I need to, I'll arrange those later. I'm just kind of getting some major fixes done, just so I have something good to start with. And that's probably, I can move on to the next step, and that's going to be actually aligning these to my actual map. So let's bring in a new material to show there, and that's going to be the one that I've given you. It's going to be source images, and it's going to be, now I can actually use my original one or my finished one, which is here someplace, but I'm going to use my breakout one for now, just so you can open that up in here, breakout image. Okay, so that's my breakout image, and it's going to tell me where I need to put these. Yeah, so for now, with my islands, I'm just going to start moving these out of the way real quick, and you can see here what needs to be fixed. I'm just going to hit G, move this over to the side, get this island, right click it, hit G, move it over to the side, move this G, move this up here, G, move this up here, and just put the and do this one by one. This, hit G, select this, hit G, move this here, and S, scale it up, and then let's zoom in with a middle mouse, shift middle mouse, and we are just going to try to put this in the right position. Kind of center it there, then hit S, and just match it. Use my scale and my grab tool to make it match. That's going to be good enough for now. Any tweaks I can do later. This bottom will probably have to be flipped at one point. So I'm just going to keep that in mind. G, kind of center that. Shift and middle mouse, move it over. Now I'm not sure which direction this goes. I probably should have cut a color coded the front and the back. I remember one of these, and they're pretty much the same on each side, right? So it's kind of hard to tell where they're going to go. This has two edges, so let's take a look here. And that only has the one edge, and that has the two edges. So that's actually the entrance to the ramp. And yeah, look at that. That's going to be over that edge. It's going to go there. Oops. And that edge is going to go there. So that's very good. It's already pointing in the right direction. So once again for this, I really don't need to take a look at this. I see that already. So I'm going to scale this up, S key, until I get to I think it's right, G, move it over. It's a little bit different, but not by much. S. Once again, if you were doing this yourself, you wouldn't have this nice color-coded template. But for a beginner, I kind of gave you, oops, clicked away. I kind of gave you, I'm giving you a guide. It's good to have a guide when you first do this. Once again, this can be tweaked later. Gee, let's move it down. And okay, once again, not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. Move it down slightly. Okay, any tweaks, we can just take it in Photoshop and add more color if we need to on the edges there, or scale this down a bit once we see the final images. So now, which side is yellow and which side is green? So that would be, if I go here, let's take a look at my RacingRamp. The colors are a little bit different, but that's the left side is green. That's quite easy to tell. Oh, nope. Oh, wait. Oh, that should be yellow. That, I think, yeah, they're kind of close. That's yellow, but the lighting is a little bit off. So that's yellow. So the left is yellow, and the right is bright green. So let's do the right as bright green first. So if I go here, go to my orthographic right view. Right now, I see that as pink, which is probably, since this is being, it's probably this one here because it's being tiled, right? So G, move that, and you can see it moving, and that's definitely yellow. So what we need to do is we need to actually flip this so it's facing that direction. Let's see. Yeah, this just needs to be flipped. So UVs, and there should be a flip here someplace. Oh, there is a flip mirror on the x-axis, which will be, it's going to be the, I always get this confused. Yeah, I think that's right. That looks about right. G, move this up. Let me rotate this, R, and then scale this to match. Once again, this. So this is wrong. G. Yeah, the left is yellow. So let me move this out of the way. Let me grab this island. So this is wrong. This needs to be mirrored back. I messed that up. Easy to fix. Okay. And let's grab this. And G. The left is yellow and the right is green. My colors are too close together. So that's why we were having the strangeness. Okay. So rotate this. Let's zoom it in here. Scale this to where I think it's, let's line this bottom up here, which will make it easier for us. And then we will undo. Why I keep hitting H, I don't know. Undo that. It's G. It's moving it. Okay. Yeah. Might be a slight adjustment to there. Let's get this island. Let's move it here. Let's rotate this in. Line up that bottom edge. Move this island here. This one matches a little bit better. Gee, let's move this over a little bit. Okay. Once again, we can fix what needs to be fixed later. I think this can actually be scaled a little bit. Oops. Make sure I select this. Hit S. Let's go just a tiny bit. And then let's move it down. This might be there. Okay, so yeah, let's fix this bottom. It's easy. Scale this. This one's not critical at all. Little inconsistencies aren't going to matter. We can fix those quite easily. And now we have these. I'm gonna guess this goes here. Gee. But let's double check. That should be blue, and I'm gonna grab this one. So if I'm looking at it from the let's see, back edge. Let's just check these colors first. From the back edge, that's, I guess, the green. Front edge, that's going to be blue, and the other one's going to be this tan. So front edge, that's more of that blue. Back edge, that's more of that tan. So colors are a little bit off, but that seems about right. And you can easily see this. Needs to be scaled. These, once again, aren't super critical as well, because there's really nothing here but color. Gee, let's move this over. Just want to make sure we don't have any overlap, and this needs to be rotated slightly. And then, yeah, that's going to be fine for now. Also, if you were doing this by hand, you would want these to be all relatively the same scale. I've already done it before, but for instance, I'll show you in a minute what I mean with these two once I get this one fixed. So this one can just be rotated, and I'm lining up the bottom, the middle edge here. Move this over, and then we're going to scale it up to where it matches. Oh, that's not enough. For instance, if I want to make sure that all these are the same scale, because you know you do want these to be the same scale so they have pretty much the same resolution, except on the bottom I want to save some space. I don't care about that resolution because you never see it. I just need to have it mapped. If it's a smaller resolution, that's even better. Let me go back to perspective. I like that perspective much better. So that seems to be working pretty good. Once again, there are some tweaks we'll have to do, and we'll do that with the maps if we need to, if we see any stretching. If we don't see any stretching, then we can, and if we don't need to fix the maps, we won't, but we're going to have to do something with that to make sure that that matches inside there. But let's see. I'm going to use actually use Control for this, just to remind you that you do have other options to select. And I have these two objects selected, or these two islands, I should say. And let's say that I wanted to make these the same relative scale. You can go here to the UV menu, and you can do things like stitching. In this case, we didn't need to do any stitching, but I guess I can show you that anyway. But for now, I'll come back to that. We can average island scale. We can pack islands, which is basically what we just did by hand. We don't want to do this because it will rescale things and change our layout here, but you would do that before if you're making your own UV layout instead of using my template. And then we would go here to average island scale. So average is the size of selected UV islands. So if I do this, notice it put these at the same relative scale, which is kind of what we want actually. And I can probably do this to these two. I might have to actually select those. I mean, so if I hit A, that's selecting none, and then I can just select these. Let's average these. I might have to readjust those, and I can probably select this as well, and I probably could select that as well, but I'm not going to, because those I can just do by hand. These I care about. This is close enough. I'm just going to do average island scale. So you can see that it did slightly change the scale of those islands. I had it pretty good, didn't I? And now I can just make sure that it's within this. I'm going to use this back as the template area, and this can actually be moved over just slightly. So at least I know they're the same scale, all right? And then up a bit. Yeah. Okay, that's about right. And now I'm going to go here and just make sure that, and for these, I'm going to just align this to the front, because I know that's pretty close. I'm going to align these to the front. That's pretty good. This stuff here, really, it's just one color. I might have to go here and paint a little bit here, but there's no text here, as long as it's resting inside that color. Gee. There we go. So according to this, I could actually scale these up a little bit more, but it's not necessary for this. So let's now see how this looks with our real map.